Welcome, my friend. Welcome to this new story on our channel, a place where you learn English through the most powerful and emotional stories from real life. Today, we are stepping into a true event that shocked an entire nation. This is not fiction. This is not a movie. This is the real story of a young woman who became the center of one of America's most controversial court cases. Her name is Casey Anthony, and her name still brings anger, confusion, and disbelief to millions across the United States. She was a 22-year-old mother living in Florida with a beautiful little girl named Kaylee. From the outside, their life seemed normal, but behind closed doors, something dark was happening, something so disturbing that when the truth finally came out, it left the whole country speechless. This is the story of a missing child, a silent mother, and a courtroom battle that divided America. And through this story, you will not only improve your English, but you'll feel every twist, every lie, and every tear. It all began in the summer of 2008. Casey Anthony lived at home with her parents, George and Cindy Anthony, and her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. Kaylee was full of life, smiling, laughing, talking. Everyone who saw her said she was a happy little girl. But something strange happened in June. One day, Kaylee simply disappeared, and for the next 31 days, Casey didn't say a word. Not to her mother, not to her friends, not even to the police. Instead of panicking, instead of reporting her daughter missing, Casey went out partying. She got a new tattoo that said Bella Vita, which means beautiful life in Italian. She posted happy pictures. She laughed with friends. No one could understand it. Where was Kaylee? On July 15th, Cindy Anthony, Casey's mother, had had enough. She called 911 and said something terrifying. "I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car." That phone call changed everything. Police came quickly, and finally, Casey admitted. Kaylee had been missing for over a month. When police asked where Kaylee was, Casey gave them lies. She said she had left the child with a nanny named Zanny the Nanny, but that nanny didn't exist. She said she worked at Universal Studios. That was a lie, too. In fact, Casey led the police officers around the Universal Studios building, pretending to have a job, until she finally turned and said, "Okay, I don't work here." The lies piled up quickly, and people across the country started watching the news trying to understand. Why would a mother hide her daughter's disappearance? Why would she lie to police again and again? Why would she go dancing at nightclubs while her daughter was missing? Soon, the case exploded on American television. Every major news station covered it. Talk shows, radio stations, reporters. Everyone wanted to know what really happened to Kaylee Anthony. Was it an accident? Was it murder? And most importantly, was Casey Anthony hiding something darker than anyone could imagine? Then, in December 2008, 6 months after Kaylee disappeared, her remains were found. A man walking through the woods near the Anthony home saw a small trash bag. Inside, he found something horrifying: bones, hair, and a tiny skull with duct tape over the mouth. It was Kaylee. The discovery broke the hearts of millions. News cameras showed people crying. Strangers left teddy bears and flowers outside the Anthony house. America was in mourning. But one question remained. What happened to her? Prosecutors believed they knew the answer. In 2011, nearly 3 years after Kaylee's death, Casey Anthony was put on trial for first-degree murder. The state said Casey had killed her daughter on purpose. Their theory? She wanted to live a carefree party life, and her daughter was in the way. The evidence against Casey was shocking. The smell in her car, tested and believed to be consistent with decomposition. Traces of chloroform searched on her computer. Duct tape found on the child's mouth. The lies told to the police. The partying. The tattoo. It all painted a picture of a mother who didn't care. Or worse. But Casey's lawyers told a different story. Her defense attorney, Jose Baez, shocked the court with a bold claim. He said Kaylee had drowned in the family pool, and that Casey's father, George Anthony, helped cover it up. The defense said Casey had been sexually abused as a child, and that's why she lied so easily. They gave no proof, just words. Still, the trial was dramatic. The courtroom was packed. Outside, protesters held signs that said, "Justice for Kaylee." Inside, witnesses cried on the stand. Jurors listened closely as lawyers argued back and forth. Some days were filled with anger. Other days were filled with sadness. And throughout it all, Casey sat quietly, showing almost no emotion. Then came the verdict. After weeks of testimony, the jury left to decide. Was Casey Anthony guilty of murder? The world waited. Some said it was obvious. Some said she would get life in prison. But after just 11 hours, the jury returned with a decision that stunned America. Not guilty, yes. Not guilty of murder. Not guilty of child abuse. Not guilty of manslaughter. Only guilty of lying to the police. The courtroom gasped. Outside, people screamed. Commentators on TV were shocked. How could a mother lose her child, lie about it, party for 31 days, and walk free? One juror later said, "We all thought she was guilty, but there wasn't enough proof. And in the American justice system, a person is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt." So Casey walked out of court, a free woman. But freedom came with a cost. She was hated by millions. She received threats. She couldn't go out in public. People saw her face and got angry. Even though the court had spoken, the people did not agree. Years passed. Casey disappeared from the spotlight. She moved, changed jobs, tried to live a quiet life. But her name never faded. Even today, her story is one of the most talked about trials in American history. Documentaries, books, interviews. The mystery of Kaylee Anthony's death continues to haunt people, and Casey's silence still speaks louder than words. So what do we learn from this, my friend? We learn that truth is not always clear, that justice is not always simple, that emotions, pain, grief, anger, can shape how a nation reacts to one woman and one child. We learn new words: trial, verdict, prosecutor, defense, jury, evidence, guilty, not guilty. And we learn how powerful real stories can be when they are told with truth. And now, as you reflect on this powerful story, you are not only understanding America's justice system, you are also improving your English, your vocabulary, and your emotional connection to real-life stories. Thank you, my friend, for listening. If you felt something from this story, if it helped you learn, please subscribe and join us again for more true emotional stories that help you speak English from the heart.